Imagine a world where war isn't declared by politicians, but by an algorithm. A world where the choice to unleash a cyber attack that could shut down a nation's power grid is made in microseconds by artificial intelligence. Where autonomous drones have the power to kill without any human intervention. This isn't some distant sci-fi fantasy. This is the new reality of warfare, and it's pushing us toward a global conflict that could easily spiral beyond our control. For centuries, the tools of war have gotten faster and more destructive, but they've always been just that, tools guided by human minds. What we're seeing today is a completely different kind of transformation. The integration of AI into our military and digital worlds is creating terrifying new ways for a war to start. A war nobody wants and nobody might be able to stop. This is a story about speed, complexity, and a dangerous loss of control. It's about how the silent, invisible battles in cyberspace could crash into the lethal, automated decisions on the physical battlefield, creating a perfect storm for a global catastrophe. To really get the stakes here, we have to understand why AI is so different from other military technologies. A faster jet or a bigger tank just amplifies what a human can do. But advanced AI is a delegation of human thinking. We're outsourcing cognition, and in the terrifying context of war, we're starting to outsource the decision to kill. This is all happening on two parallel tracks that are starting to dangerously converge. First, there's the direct path, AI in physical combat. We're talking about everything from AI-powered targeting in fighter jets to the next generation of autonomous drones designed to hunt, identify, and eliminate targets without a human in the loop. The second path is more indirect, AI in cyber and information warfare. This is a quieter, more insidious kind of conflict, where AI is used to dismantle a country from the inside by attacking its critical infrastructure, manipulating its people, and destroying trust in its institutions. The real danger is where these two paths cross. An AI-driven cyber attack could create just enough chaos and misdirection for an autonomous weapon system to make a catastrophic mistake. The speed of these systems crushes the time humans have to think, turning what could be a manageable crisis into an unstoppable conflict in the blink of an eye. And unlike nuclear weapons, which are held by just a few states and are governed by a doctrine of deterrence, the tools for AI warfare are becoming cheaper and easier to get. This opens the door for smaller nations and even non-state groups to wage incredibly sophisticated and destabilizing warfare, raising the risk of proxy wars that spin out of control. So, what happens when a technology that can think for itself is given control over weapons, in a world already drowning in AI-generated fake news and cyber attacks? The answer is a level of unpredictability that global security has never had to face before. Let's start with the most visceral example of AI in conflict: autonomous weapons. We're used to the idea of drones flown by pilots thousands of miles away, but the next generation of these weapons is being designed to cut the human out of the decision almost entirely. Experts call them lethal autonomous weapon systems, or LAWs. They are programmed to operate on their own, to navigate a battlefield, tell friend from foe, and make the final call on whether to use lethal force. The main argument for these weapons is simple: efficiency. An AI can process sensor data from cameras, radar, and thermal imaging way faster than a human ever could. It can calculate a trajectory and react in milliseconds, which could be a decisive advantage in the chaos of modern combat. The war in Ukraine has become a real-world testing ground for this, with both sides using more and more advanced drones for spying and attacks, proving just how valuable these unmanned systems are. But chasing that speed comes with a terrifying price: the loss of meaningful human control. Giving life or death decisions to a machine isn't just an ethical nightmare, it creates huge strategic risks. Military experts, including some in China's own People's Liberation Army, have warned that handing lethal authority to a machine dramatically increases the risk of unpredictable escalation. An AI, no matter how well programmed, doesn't get context or intent. It runs on logic and data, and that logic can be flawed, brittle, or a complete mystery to its own creators. Think about how these AIs are trained. They learn from huge datasets and in simulations. But the real world is infinitely messier. What happens when a drone runs into something it wasn't trained for? A group of civilians carrying something that looks like a weapon? An enemy soldier trying to surrender in a way the algorithm doesn't recognize? The system could make a mistake that leads to a war crime, civilian deaths, or the accidental targeting of a neutral country, which could drag them into the war. This is made even worse by what's called the black box problem. Often, not even the AI's own creators fully understand its decision-making process. In some recent military simulations, AI models tasked with managing a conflict have shown a disturbing tendency to favor aggressive action and rapid escalation. In a few cases, they even chose to use nuclear weapons, offering simplistic or bizarre reasons that humans couldn't fully understand. If we don't know why an AI made a decision, how can we trust it? And more importantly, how do we stop it if it starts escalating a conflict based on logic we can't even begin to follow? If you're finding this breakdown valuable, take a second to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We explore complex topics like this every week, and your support helps us keep bringing this crucial information to light. Now, let's see how these two pathways could combine to set off a global crisis. So far, we've talked about autonomous weapons and AI cyberattacks as separate threats. But the truly terrifying scenario is what happens when they converge. This is where the risk of a global conflict spiraling out of human control becomes frighteningly real. Let's walk through a plausible hypothetical scenario. Picture a tense but stable border between two rival countries. A small skirmish breaks out. In response, one nation sends in an AI-powered drone system to monitor the area, with rules of engagement allowing it to fire on any perceived threat. At the exact same time, a third party, another nation or a powerful group, sees an opportunity in the chaos. They launch a targeted AI-driven cyberattack. This cyberattack doesn't go after the drones. Instead, it hits the nation's civilian communication networks and emergency services, creating panic far from the border. It also uses AI-generated deepfakes and bots to spread rumors of a much bigger attack, making it seem like a full-scale invasion is already happening. Now, that nation's leaders are in chaos. Their communication lines are down. The public is panicking over fake news. They look to their military for answers, but things are just as confusing there. The autonomous drone over the border spots soldiers moving. Its algorithm, which wasn't trained for this exact situation, misreads a retreat as an advance. Or maybe the cyber attack has subtly altered the data being fed to the drone. Following its programming, the drone fires, killing several soldiers. From the other side's point of view, this isn't a mistake. It's a calculated, unprovoked act of war, seemingly timed perfectly with a massive cyber attack. Their own AI-driven defense systems, designed for rapid retaliation, might then launch a counterstrike automatically. In minutes, a minor border clash has blown up into a major military conflict, all driven by machines acting on bad data in an environment of complete information chaos. Human leaders, struggling just to figure out what's happening, have lost all control of the escalation ladder. And this leads us to the ultimate nightmare: AI's role in nuclear command and control. While major powers insist they will maintain human control over nuclear decisions, the temptation to use AI to get a faster warning of an incoming attack is huge. But what if that AI early warning system gets hacked? Or what if it just malfunctions, creating a false positive and signaling a nuclear launch that isn't real? In a moment of extreme tension, with only minutes to decide the fate of the world, leaders might feel forced to trust the machine. A miscalculation here isn't just an escalation, it's the end. The integration of AI into conventional military systems already creates downstream risks for nuclear stability, making the world more dangerous even without directly connecting AI to the nuclear button. Facing these catastrophic risks, the obvious question is, why not just build an off switch? Why not make sure a human is always there to intervene? Unfortunately, it's not that simple. In a war where both sides are using AI that operates at machine speed, the country that waits for human approval might be at a fatal disadvantage. The pressure to fully automate just to keep up is enormous. This has triggered an urgent global debate about how to regulate this technology. Experts and international bodies are pushing for new treaties to govern AI in war. The goal is to set clear rules, especially around the idea of meaningful human control, to ensure a person is always ultimately responsible for the decision to use lethal force. But getting there is incredibly hard. Unlike nuclear programs, which need massive visible facilities, AI development is mostly software and easy to hide. It's also a classic dual-use technology. The same AI that spots cancer on a medical scan can spot a target on a battlefield. How do you ban one without crippling the other? On top of that, the world's major powers are stuck in an escalating AI arms race. With so much distrust, getting the US, China, and Russia to agree on any real limits is a huge diplomatic challenge. Each side is terrified that if they hit pause, their rivals will surge ahead and gain an unstoppable advantage. This has stalled progress in international talks. This leaves us in a deeply precarious spot. The technology is moving much faster than our ability to create the ethical and legal guardrails to manage it. The most realistic way forward might not be a total ban, but a focus on reducing risk. That means building more predictable and reliable AI systems, creating tough testing protocols, and pushing for more transparency between nations to build confidence and lower the chances of a miscalculation. It means keeping humans on the loop, able to monitor and step in, even if they aren't in the loop for every single decision. But the question remains, in a war fought at the speed of light, will that be enough? We are standing at a crossroads. Artificial intelligence offers the promise of incredible human progress, but it also presents us with a new and terrifyingly efficient way to destroy ourselves. We've looked at the direct path of autonomous weapons, which threaten to remove humans from life and death decisions. We've seen the indirect path of AI-driven cyber and information warfare, which can rot a nation from the inside out. And we've glimpsed the catastrophe that could happen if they converge. An escalation spiral driven by algorithms that could lead to a global conflict we can't control. The challenges are monumental. The road to effective regulation is blocked by political and technical hurdles. But simply ignoring the problem isn't an option. The conversations we have today, in public, in our governments, and between nations, will decide whether AI serves humanity or leads to its darkest hour. This isn't just a problem for generals and programmers, it's a question for all of us. The final and maybe most important question we have to ask ourselves is this: what part of our humanity are we willing to code into our weapons, and what happens when that code gets it wrong? Thank you for watching. If this topic got you thinking, check out our other video on the history of drone warfare. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share what you think in the comments. A real public debate on this is critical, so let's get the conversation started.